this is Velez, keeping it real for you today in this season. Today I want to talk about spring. Spring is in the air, and I love spring because it's especially after this super hard winter. It's like, ah, you see the neighbors coming out, you see the people starting to walk in the afternoon, the birds are singing and you can hear them, and not only hear them, you can see them. It's so amazing. But can you imagine spring in the desert? Actually, there are deserts in the United States that have blooming seasons, and I didn't know about this. And I just learned a couple of years about that, and it's so amazing to see this process because if the winter is hard, if there's a lot of um, things that cooperate for uh, uh, irrigation and the right conditions are given, there can be blooming seasons that are extraordinary and are out of the normal. They call them super blooms. And when the rains and the winter has been really, really cold and there's a lot of snow in the ground, those are very good conditions to create mini super blooms or super blooms in big concentrations. And I love to hear about these stories, and actually in the last several years there has been mini super blooms or a couple of super blooms spread apart in the desert couple of times in the past couple of years. And every time this happened, people travel to the desert to see these flowers bloom. Why do they travel to see this bloom? Because it's rare to see flowers in the deserts, and they're really rare. Prairie flowers, but there are flowers, the cactus blooms. There's flowers that are unique that blooms in this season. So right now I just want to use that analogy to talk to you about what God says about creating certain conditions in our life through the words of the prophet Isaiah as a prophetic parallel of things that are going to bloom in our lives. And I want to read you Isaiah 35 verses 1 through 4, and it says, imagine the wilderness whooping for joy, the deserts unburdened happiness, with its spring flowers. It will happen. And what it will happen, it says, the desert will come alive with a new growth, budding and blooming, singing and celebrating with sheer delight the glory of the Lebanon cedars and the majesty of the Carmel. The Sharon will spill over to the deserts, and the glory of the Eternal One will be on full display there, and they will revel in the majestic splendor of our God. So, let me tell you that this is a time in which I think the Lord prophetically allowed seasons in our life that are like winter, are very cold and very hard, and it feels like nothing is happening, and it feels crazy, and it feels like, why it's so cold? Why am I doing here? It sometimes feels unbearable, but there's something happening hidden that is creating the right conditions for those seeds that have been putting in your life to start a process that might have been dormant, but they are being irrigated, and there something is happening when no one is seeing it. Even you sometimes don't feel like anything is happening, but there's something that the Lord is doing inside of you, allowing those seeds that might be dormant to be irrigated through the right conditions so they can bloom in due time and be displayed and be shown, especially if those are rare flowers in bloom in the desert. So I guess my challenge for you today, are you feeling like you have been in a very difficult spiritual winter? Are you feeling that you have been in a season where nothing is growing, everything is dormant, and you feel that you want to just quit? If you are that person, take hope right now, because you are about to bloom. Sometimes things are, God is uh, using those circumstances, using those things that are going on in your life to create the right conditions for a super bloom on your life. So I right now want to encourage you and challenge you to look at the future. And I gotta tell you that the spring is coming. There is spiritual spring coming forth in your life. So take heart, have hope, and start listening to the singing of the birds. Start listening to the things that are changing. Start opening your heart for the things that are coming up, because you're about to bloom. And I guess that this is all for today. I hope you bloom soon. I can't wait for the comments in this box to tell me that you are blooming. And remember, all things cooperate for good for those that love the Lord. So everything will work out, because there's always a way. Get ready, because you are about to bloom. God bless you. This is Velez, giving you tools and keys for success for this season. See you next time.